6320. Conviction of an offense involving alcohol or drugs is grounds for A. Permanent revocation of all certificates and ratings. B. Suspension or revocation of any certificate or rating issued under FA or Part 61. C. Denial of an application for any certificate or rating issued under FA or Part 61 for a period of up to 24 months after date of conviction. The correct answer is B. When an individual is convicted of an offense related to alcohol or drugs, it indicates a violation of the regulations and standards set by the aviation authorities. The repercussions for such convictions can be severe, as they directly impact the individual's ability to hold and maintain their aviation certificates and ratings. Under FA or Part 61, which governs pilot certification, the regulatory authority, typically the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, has the authority to take disciplinary action in response to convictions involving alcohol or drugs. This action can result in the suspension or revocation of any certificate or rating issued to the individual. The decision to suspend or revoke the certificates and ratings depends on several factors, including the nature of the offense, the individual's history, and the potential risk posed to aviation safety. The FAA carefully evaluates each case to determine the appropriate course of action. Suspension is a temporary measure that restricts the individual from exercising the privileges of their certificates and ratings for a specific period. During the suspension period, the individual may be required to comply with additional requirements or undergo rehabilitation programs to demonstrate their fitness to return to aviation activities. Revocation, on the other hand, is a permanent action that permanently invalidates the individual's certificates and ratings. It indicates a more severe violation and signifies that the individual is no longer eligible to hold or exercise the privileges associated with those credentials. The purpose of these disciplinary measures is to uphold the standards of professionalism, safety, and responsibility in aviation. By taking action against individuals convicted of offenses involving alcohol or drugs, the regulatory authorities aim to ensure the highest level of safety for all those involved in aviation operations. It is important for pilots and other aviation personnel to understand the serious consequences of such convictions and to maintain strict compliance with the regulations and guidelines governing the use of alcohol and drugs in the aviation industry. By doing so, they can protect their certificates and ratings, as well as contribute to the overall safety and integrity of the aviation community. 6407. Under what condition, if any, may a pilot allow a person who is obviously under the influence of intoxicating liquors or drugs to be carried aboard an aircraft? A. Under no condition. B. Only if a second pilot is aboard. C. Only if the person is a medical patient under proper care or in an emergency. The correct answer is C. Under normal circumstances, it is strictly prohibited for a pilot to allow a person who is visibly under the influence of intoxicating liquors or drugs to be carried aboard an aircraft. This is because the impaired judgment and coordination of such individuals can pose a significant risk to the safety of the flight. However, there are certain exceptions to this rule. One such exception is when the person in question is a medical patient who requires immediate transportation for medical purposes. In such cases, the pilot may exercise discretion and allow the impaired individual to be carried on board the aircraft. The concept of a medical patient under proper care refers to situations where a licensed medical professional or healthcare provider is accompanying the individual, providing necessary medical attention, and ensuring their well-being during the flight. The pilot must assess the situation carefully and ensure that the proper medical care and supervision are in place before making the decision to allow the impaired person on board. Another exception is when there is an emergency situation where immediate transportation of the impaired individual is required. Emergencies may include instances where there is a threat to the person's life or when urgent medical intervention is necessary. In such cases, the pilot may choose to permit the impaired person to be carried on board the aircraft to facilitate their transportation to a medical facility or other appropriate destination. It is important to note that these exceptions are limited and should be exercised with utmost caution. The pilot has the ultimate responsibility for the safety of the flight and all occupants on board. Even in exceptional circumstances, the pilot should consider the potential risks and make a judgment based on the overall safety and well-being of everyone involved. By adhering to these guidelines, pilots demonstrate their commitment to maintaining a safe operating environment and prioritize the welfare of all individuals during air travel, while ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements. 6408. A person may not act as a crew member of a civil aircraft if alcoholic beverages have been by that person within the preceding A. 8 hours, B. 12 hours, C. 24 hours. The correct answer is A. A person may not act as a crew member of a civil aircraft if alcoholic beverages have been consumed by that person within the preceding 8 hours. The consumption of alcohol and aviation operations are incompatible due to the potential impairment it can cause. The correct option highlights the time restriction imposed on crew members regarding the consumption of alcoholic beverages before participating in flight duties. According to aviation regulations, crew members are prohibited from acting as a crew member of a civil aircraft if they have consumed alcoholic beverages within the preceding 8 hours. This restriction is in place to ensure that crew members are not under the influence of alcohol during flight operations. The 8-hour rule serves as a safety measure to allow sufficient time for the body to eliminate alcohol from the system. It is crucial for crew members to be alert, focused, and capable of performing their duties without any impairment caused by alcohol consumption. By adhering to the 8-hour rule, crew members demonstrate their commitment to maintaining a high level of safety in aviation operations. It helps to mitigate the risks associated with impaired judgment, decreased coordination, and slower reaction times that can result from alcohol consumption. It is important for crew members to understand and strictly adhere to this regulation to ensure the safety of themselves, their fellow crew members, and all passengers on board. By abstaining from alcohol for a minimum of 8 hours prior to flight duties, crew members contribute to the overall safety and professionalism of the aviation industry. 6409. No person may act as a crew member of a civil aircraft with a minimum alcohol level of A. Any detectable amount, B. 0.04% or greater, C. 0.2% or greater. The correct answer is B. No person may act as a crew member of a civil aircraft with a minimum alcohol level of 0.04% or greater. Safety is paramount in aviation, and the consumption of alcohol can significantly impair a person's ability to perform their duties effectively. The correct option specifies the minimum permissible alcohol level for crew members when acting in their capacity as part of a civil aircraft's crew. According to regulations, no person is allowed to act as a crew member if their blood alcohol concentration, BAC, level is 0.04% or greater. This threshold is set to ensure that crew members are not under the influence of alcohol while performing their duties, as even small amounts of alcohol can impair cognitive functions, judgment, and reaction times. The 0.04% BAC limit is considered a strict standard in aviation and is lower than the legal limits for operating a motor vehicle in many jurisdictions. This reflects the high level of responsibility and safety required in the aviation industry. It is essential for crew members to understand and adhere to this regulation to maintain the integrity and safety of aviation operations. By abstaining from alcohol or ensuring that their BAC remains below 0.04%, crew members uphold the professionalism and standards necessary for safe and effective performance of their duties. Compliance with the 0.04% BAC limit reinforces the commitment to safety and the well-being of all individuals involved in aviation, including the crew members themselves, passengers, and other personnel working in and around the aircraft. 6483. When must each of an aircraft wear an approved parachute? A. When flying over water beyond gliding distance to the shore. B. when practicing spins or other flight maneuvers for any certificate or rating. C. When an intentional maneuver that exceeds 30-degree nose up or nose down relative to the horizon is made. The correct answer is C. Each occupant of an aircraft must wear an approved parachute when an intentional maneuver is made that exceeds a 30-degree nose-up or nose-down attitude relative to the horizon. The use of approved parachutes in certain flight conditions is crucial for ensuring the safety of occupants in the event of an emergency. The correct option specifies the circumstances under which each occupant of an aircraft must wear an approved parachute. According to regulations, when the pilot intentionally performs a maneuver that exceeds a 30-degree nose-up or nose-down attitude relative to the horizon, each occupant of the aircraft must be equipped with and wear an approved parachute. This requirement aims to provide an additional safety measure in situations where extreme flight attitudes are encountered. The intentional execution of maneuvers that exceed the specified attitude limit can pose significant risks to the stability and controllability of the aircraft. By wearing approved parachutes, occupants have a means of personal safety in case of an emergency or loss of control during such maneuvers. It is important for pilots and occupants to be aware of and comply with this regulation to ensure their safety during flight operations. By wearing approved parachutes when performing maneuvers that exceed a 30-degree nose-up or nose-down attitude, individuals demonstrate a commitment to proactive safety practices and preparedness for unexpected situations.